Welcome to the presentation of the overview of service operation. My name is Dr. Suzanne Van Hove, and I will be your instructor. First of all, we're going to look at service operation, the foundation information, so the purpose, objective, and scope of service operation, the value to the business, the challenges, critical success factors, and the risks of this phase. So first of all, purpose of service operation, it's really to coordinate and carry out the activities and processes required to deliver and manage services at agreed levels to the business users and the customers. That purpose alone should just make you quake in your boots because it's huge. This is the phase where value becomes visible. This is the phase where all of the back office work now becomes to the forefront, and IT now has a face. This is the phase where the work from strategy, design, and transition are now being carried out. This is the phase that manages the day-to-day operation of service delivery and then provides support and guidance on continued delivery of service and improvements. It manages the required technologies to deliver and support the services, and the scope of this phase includes not only the services, but also the processes that support them, the technology that underpins the service, and the people. We all have to be marching to the same sheet of music to be successful. The value to the business of service operation, again, it is the execution and it is the delivery of service. The business is going to be successful whether or not, or the degree of success the business has is going to be on how well service operation executes and measures their functionality, their processes, and their support of the services. So the efficiency and the effectiveness of the plans from service design and how they went about in testing and measuring and deploying in transition are all going to come to light in service operation. Services are going to be operated within the budgetary return on investment targets. Traditionally, budget was provided to IT for the design and the development, and then operationally it's like, well, you have to float your own boat here. You have to be able to deliver or create your own funding for the operational side of service delivery. Not anymore. Remember that traditionally IT, the design and development team would say, "Yep, we're done. Let's throw it over the fence to operation. It's your problem now. We're done with it." Not so in service management. Now we all work together as a team, and we all work together towards the delivery of functionality that supports business outcome. So when we talk about funding, we have to have funding that's available to fix the unexpected flaw. It's not just a design enhancement, those flaws. Those are flaws that need to be removed and fixed. We have to have funding for it. We have to have funding to take care of the unforeseen changes and requirements. Business is dynamic. IT must be dynamic as well. We have to have the funding for improvements in the efficiency aspects of delivering service. And then we also have to be completely aware of the improvement cycle that service operation will kick off. We have those long-term incremental improvements that truly are formed and managed by the CSI group. And we also have short-term ongoing improvements which underneath the control of change will be completed within that service operational phase. So understand the difference. Service operation is going to provide the data for the long-term incremental improvements, but typically will be managed within CSI. There's also going to be short-term ongoing improvements that will be managed within the service operation phase itself. Challenges for service operation. They stem from organizational issues. This is the big one. It's people. You remember from your foundation of the 4 Ps of service design, the people, process, products, and partners. What was the one that was difficult? It was never process. It was never product. It was never the partners, but it was people. Having people understand the service mentality and engage in that service mentality is important. So we have to have service operations, because they're the ones that are supporting when it's live. They have to engage with the development and project staff. We have to be able to justify the funding for service operations. The other challenges for service operation managers, they're different than that they are for, say, service design or service transition. Service design is focusing on a single service, while the service operation managers are focusing on all of the services, supporting all the services all at the same time. It's a much broader perspective and much more challenging. Service design, you typically have project support, project management support, and service operation is always that ongoing activity of keeping the lights on. So it's the day-to-day activities, very much to the forefront. When those day-to-day activities are not functioning, everybody knows it. When project management or when a design is behind the scenes and under the waterline, most folks don't know of the difficulties that they are overcoming, and they do overcome. Service transition, if service transition activities are not carried out throughout or carried out as thoroughly as they should, will have that negative effect in the operation side, that transition between the design and the operation phase will not be as smooth. So service operation critical success factors, first of all, we need management support to support the activities of ongoing delivery of service, to ensure that the good work within design and transition is realized, as well as the good information from the operational deployment goes back into the transition design and strategy, so their processes can also improve. We also need business support. So IT understands the business. We always talk about that, but business must also understand IT and the capabilities that IT brings to the table, that nothing is instantaneous, even though as much as we would like it to be, it's not. It requires some heavy thought and good planning for success. Champions, we have to have champions either from a management perspective or even from a junior manager perspective, saying that we are dedicated to the processes and procedures that have been outlined within our phase to ensure that that delivery of service meets the needs of the organization and achieves business outcome. We have to have the appropriate staffing and retention of staff. Traditionally, IT people tend to jump ship very, very quickly, always looking for the greener grass situation and the better offer. We need to ensure that our organization has the necessary skills as well as the necessary organizational atmosphere that allows staff to want to stay and grow within the organization. Have to have the appropriate service management training. Service management is not something that you just wake up and have one morning. It is a definite atmosphere and cultural change. The way that cultural change occurs is through the appropriate training. Have to have the appropriate tools to support the processes and the functions. Tools should not drive your program, but they sure do make a difference. Again, common mantra with tools, have the process first, then have the tools to support it. We also have to have good testing. So that the testing that we have done in service transition, the design of the testing from service design, we're finally seeing the outcome. Were the testing methods and designs appropriate? We have to have that good testing, otherwise we will deliver a service that is flawed. Measurement and reporting. Again, service design is going to come through as they design the new service to tell us what the measurements should be, how we should report, because it's going to be coming from the requirements from the customer. We need to make sure that as a service operational group, we have met those and that we can actually do the appropriate measures and reports as promised within the requirements gathering. Some of the risks within service operation, of course, the major risk is loss of a critical IT service. Well, that's always going to be hanging over the head of an IT shop. How you deal with it is going to be showing the maturity of that IT shop as well as the maturity of their service management practice. A lot of factors will come into play if a critical IT service is lost. Does it have the appropriate continuity measures already ingrained? Was it designed appropriately to mitigate the loss of a service? Maybe we shouldn't even be feeling the loss of a service. How quickly can the service operational staff respond to get that service back online? Another risk that we have within service operation is failure to meet the challenges and also addressing the critical success factors within service operations, specifically having the appropriate funding and resources. Remember that our service assets were our capabilities and our resources, and we cannot promise capabilities, things that we're saying that we do, that we are dependent on within our strategic planning if we don't have the appropriate resources. They go together one-on-one. Failure to not have the appropriate momentum. I've seen many organizations as I've gone around to various shops globally that service management can sometimes be seen as the flavor of the month. It almost has become a four-letter word. Even though ITIL is a four-letter word, but it's become a negative connotation. It's like, oh, it's just one more thing that the management wants us to do. I don't see how it works. Well, shame on us, because we do know that it works, and that loss of momentum has come from poor management and not celebrating quick wins, not planning the deployment as carefully as it could have been planned so that people can see the improvements. We see improvements by having the appropriate measures and metrics and then showing the improvements and communicating those improvements not only to IT but also to the business. Losing key personnel. We do this in design. We never want a single point of failure. Well, we should not have a single point of failure within personnel within IT as well. We should have cross-functionality within the service operations group so that we can always support and ensure services are being delivered. Resistance to change. This is a tough one. From a psychological standpoint, IT people, IT personnel professionals typically don't have that personal characteristic of wanting to change. Very black and white, very, very structured. Change is not a good thing. Why fix something if it's not broke, right? So resistance to change, it's going to have to come back down to, again, management selling the changes from an operational and from a strategic and tactical standpoint so that people can embrace change and see that it is a good thing and it is advancing the organization and meeting business outcome. Lack of management support. This is a definite risk. Again, management have to support the processes and procedures as they've been defined. If we have an incident management process, it needs to be followed by all levels of the organization. Just because you are an IT director or a CIO, it does not mean you can bypass the service desk. It means that you have to follow the processes and procedures just like everyone else at the organization. So that management support, it really is, do as I do, not just do as I say. We have to be the leaders. We have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And then lastly, one of the biggest challenges, which can become a risk, is the differing customer expectations. And I see this not only as a service operation risk, and it's a risk also with business relationship management, service level management, and not having that nice cross-functional, cross-phase communication. Expectation management is truly service level management, and we should have the appropriate data and information going to service level management from the service operation phase so that customer expectations are met and managed. So questions here, again, the points that were made were across the entire phase. It would do you great service to review those concepts and keep them to the forefront as we go through and look at the other activities and processes. Thank you so much for joining us.